Test 1 2, test 1 2.
Stop.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Vocal Minority with Nick and Steve.
Nick Reynolds, Steve Harness, and cousin Brewski. The Vocal Minority with Nick and Steve.
Yeah, all those guys.
Yeah, welcome to the program. It's The Vocal Minority with Nick and Steve a la Brewski. And here we are, back for episode 29. Welcome to the program. And see us on our webpage, thevocalminority.net. All our socials available right there.
Yep, find us on all those socials. We like getting comments. We like you guys sharing our videos. We're trying to grow this. And speaking of which, by the way, guys, I think I may have mentioned this to Nick. We have a listener in Nigeria, Africa right now. So
that blows my mind, dude.
Worldwide, baby.
Is it Bobby McFerrin?
That could be. That's a callback to the last episode, which if you missed, you should go check it out. It's on all the socials and on the main podcast sites as well. So thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Lagos, Nigeria, you're on the air.
I really would love to know who in Nigeria is sitting here listening to these shenanigans, but
I wish I could see it, dude. I mean, I want to know. I want to see the picture of them listening to us, where they are.
We added someone in New Zealand too, by the way. So you know, our international audience is doubling.
We've got two of you.
Right. So there you go. So yes. All right. Today's topic of conversation is going to be who is it? Salt and Pepper? Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about let's talk about all the things that what is it? I don't know. I lost it. Anyways.
All the good things that were meant to be. Let's talk about sex.
You know, as we get older in life, sex can change. It can get better. It can get worse. Hormone levels up and down, dating, divorce, single, married for a long time. It's a complicated topic the older you get. Am I right? Or am I just right?
You are right.
Thank you. I've got an article here. It's the most common sex issues in your 50s and how to handle them. Now, I would imagine this can expand a little. I keep having people tell me that because I'm 47, that I'm basically 50. And by the way, happy birthday to our own Nick Reynolds, who finally turned 47 this past week, too. So now you're right here with me again.
Appreciate it.
And yeah, people keep telling us that we're basically 50, which if you can round up 3 years, I don't know why I can't round down 3 years and basically be 44.
I suppose you could, but I mean, yeah.
Why does everyone always round age
to 50? Huh?
Well, I'm not closer to 50. I'm the same closeness, 44 to 50.
What I'm saying is we're closer to 50 now than we were yesterday. That's all I'm saying, dude. Well, we're closer to 50. We're getting closer. We're closer to 90. I was going to
say, let's just round all the way up then.
Well, but technically, if you look on Wednesday, I'd like to think that I'm closer to the weekend ahead of me than the weekend behind me.
Me too. We always round up. That's the law. That's the law of rounding.
The age ahead of you would be 50. It's okay, Steve. Don't worry about it.
I know some CPAs who have gone to jail for rounding in the wrong direction, pro or con, up or down. So
you don't practice rounding in the CPA field, dude. I'm talking in rounding. Anything over 6, you round up. That's the law of rounding.
Sure. Yeah, I would challenge any 20-year-old listening right now, go buy some beer and tell them I'm basically 21. I mean, come on. 18-year-olds, if we're rounding up 3 years, they should be able to buy beer. They're basically 21, right?
Just come on over, Steve. You're fighting this whole thing getting closer to 50 for some reason, and I don't understand it.
Because there's a lot of stigma attached there.
Listen, fuck.
Screw that. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, the hell with that.
It's wonderful. The last 3 years of my life, I have been through a lot. I think all of us, if you think back in the last 3 years, that's a long time is my point. So rounding me up to 50 is just inappropriate.
And yet it feels like yesterday.
Oh, okay. And so this article, the most common sex issues in your 50s, starts off addressing the issue. Living in an ageist culture that equates sex with youth, you may believe things fizzle out in the bedroom after you hit a certain age, but in many cases, that's not true. In fact, 43% of Americans over the age 50 say their sex life was, quote, just as or more adventurous than it was in their younger days.
What's the percentage? Over 50 or that's vague?
43% of Americans over the age of 50 say that their sex life is just as adventurous or even more adventurous.
I could believe that. 43%. I could believe it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
I
I've
can
gotten
see-
more adventurous the older I've gotten.
Well, and more times than not, like Steve just snipped, or or at least
Right.
most of the women of that age, if you're engaging with women of that age, they're going through menopause, so you can't knock them up.
These are all valid points. And I think the
Good
older
And
you
all
get, like,
romantic points as well.
it's like food. Like your palate expands as you get older often. And you may find you love caviar now, but you didn't in your 20s. Like,
Oftentimes, do you not think that people start to expand after 50 through necessity?
like getting bored or something, or what?
No, I mean that they physically can't do things the way that they used to, so now they're doing them this way.
No, maybe. I don't know.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I used to find the idea of mutual masturbation to be preposterous. Like, why would you sit there and watch her masturbate while you're doing it? Like, I've spent my entire teenage years trying to get away from that and go play with a real woman. So why would I sit there and watch somebody? But into my 40s, I found, hey, that's actually kind of a fun thing to do.
Really?
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's a
Oh
lot
my
of fun
gosh,
going
yeah.
on there. But again,
you
this
too,
is
Brewski?
Yeah.
Let me tell you that there's a part about that, for whatever reason, and I don't know why, that terrifies me.
being exposed and being watched yourself, or what?
Maybe being so vulnerable with it. That's something that I feel like is hard to do and look like you're like you're desirous. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. But, it's all perception. And some women find
Sure.
that intriguing and fascinating because they don't get to play with that or see that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I spent most of my life trying, not to get caught,
Sure.
masturbating. Now it doesn't do much for me unless someone's watching me.
Oh,
Really?
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it gets the job done, quote unquote, but it's not as satisfying.
So what do you
Wow.
say? Like, has this become a regular thing in your repertoire out there? Because you are in your 50s officially.
Yeah, but I find a lot of women dig it. They really do.
Is
they
it
lo-
is it just the same if you do it online, like not in person?
No,
Like FaceTime or something you're talking about? Or
Right.
yeah.
no.
Gotta be
You know
there.
what it is? Well, yeah, because it's not even like I met this one woman that wanted no part of touching either one of us touching one another. But
Okay.
the fact that you're in the room near each other and you can like sense it and you can hear them and
Yeah,
you can there's all the smells and just everything that goes with that experience that you don't get if you're doing it over
Virtually. Sure.
Yes.
Oh,
I have
get it.
I have tried it virtually before, and I'll tell you the biggest problem, it's technical. It's camera angle and lighting.
Oh,
Like, I need to
yeah.
be able to see what's going on if it's supposed to be intriguing me. But you got to place the phone correctly. You got to have good lighting. I mean, it's a
Sure.
whole thing. If you're in person, you can adjust your own human eye.
So you tried it once and then said, "Nah, that's not my thing." Virtually.
Yeah.
parts.
No, there was a time where my wife had taken a tropical vacation by herself for some freaking reason. Whole other story. And her mea culpa to me was, but we can like FaceTime and we can play around. I'm like, you're on a tropical vacation. Okay. Like somehow I, desperate married man. I was like, okay, you go to the Dominican Republic alone and I'll sit home and watch you on camera.
Ooh, the DR.
Wow,
nice.
dude, that is something else. That's
And
funny. That is
Again, should have been a red flag, but yeah, that was my immediate thing of like, I can't see, can you turn the lights on? Like, that's a terrible angle. Can you you need a tripod, you need a whole thing to really make it
Well,
work.
like with the cam girls, at least they're in kind of like a studio sort of setup. They've got like the lights just right and everything.
And sometimes even a cameraman moving the camera around to get the good angles and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
But I will say, I have found that in person, in real life, when you start to get into the whole, like, what can we do to spice things up? Like, yeah, it's fun. Have at it.
Yeah.
Do you mind one more question about it? Just out of curiosity, because I've never done it.
Yeah.
Are you sitting in bed like Willy Wonka's chocolate? I mean, are you head to toe? Yeah, like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. How the old people were in bed, like.
I would love to know where in your brain that analogy came from. Willy Wonka, the old couple in bed. I don't
Well,
even know what
because
you're referencing.
oh,
All the old people in one bed and they slept head to toe, head to toe, head to toe. You know?
yeah, the
Mini
Grandpa
therapy.
Joe and Grandma Georgina and all those. Yeah,
I mean,
Now
that's a
you've-
well-known movie scene, right?
yeah.
Yes. Okay. Now you've ruined it for me. But
Is that how you do it, though? Are you just like you look at each other and you're head to toe?
I would do it like in preschool when you're reading circle story time and you're all kind of in a circle around from each other. That's my unhealthy equation for you right there. But yes, to answer your question, you have to be across from each other, I would think.
Okay.
Are you on the rug or a hardwood floor?
You do you, whatever.
Well, I'm just saying, if you're on the rug, things could get kind of messy, and then you got to clean that rug up.
Yeah, no, these are all valid points.
I'm
And
just
sitting versus standing. Guys can sit or stand. Women, I think they generally need to sit to offer the
yeah. So, like if I want to watch you ring the doorbell, then I would like for you to do that.
Exactly.
All right. Well, let's get into this article.
Okay. The most common sex issues in your 50s. So, number one, negative beliefs about sexuality and aging. Our mindset around sex as we age has a huge impact on our sex life, and negative beliefs in this area are a quote much bigger problem than most people realize. And by the way, just so nobody sues us, this is from the Huffington Post, and it's by Kelsey Morenson. Just want to make sure.
Thank you, Kelsey.
Giving out there. So let's see. We need to debunk some of the more negative myths and misconceptions about our sexuality as we mature. Yes, hormonal changes can negatively impact us and our bodies and adjust to the shifting sands of time. But this is greatly exacerbated by our culture's hang-ups about sex in general, and even more so about sex as people get older. People in their 50s have to get past the social stigma that they are less sexual due to their age, says a psychologist named Shannon Chavez. They quote, they are more clear on what they want and how to express it. This is the positive to getting older. Sex in your 50s is often more connected and comfortable with less performance anxiety and sexual hangups from the past. Most people in this age group are more confident and have had experiences to know what they want and can be much more assertive towards their partner.
I think that is a good thing about your sex life as you get older, that it does seem to get easier for both parties involved to I want to be told what you like. I mean, I know there'll be times that I hit the spot and I'll like, oh, she liked that. But I want to be told what you like, and then I'll do it well, right?
Yes. It's interesting you mentioned that. That has been a recurring theme with most of my relationships. And anytime including Dottie right now, where I've told her, like, tell me, faster, slower, this spot, that spot.
Yeah.
I'm about to hit the climax. Like, and every woman has always told me, like, I don't want to be bossing you around during sex. And I'm always the opposite. No, like, we're on a nature hike here. I need a map. I need to know where we're going. I don't want to get lost and waste my time dying in the woods. So you tell me what is good and bad.
I don't want to keep going at something that you're not enjoying,
Right. Yes. And I think that does come with age, being more comfortable with all of this and experiences of knowing you've had good things and bad things. And I did one thing right for one woman that didn't work at all with the next, because that's the whole thing too.
Yep.
So embrace it. And like I was saying, the mutual masturbation thing, like you may have in your 20s or whatever thought something was ridiculous, but as you get older, maybe you've evolved on that. So they're saying embrace your age and wisdom when it comes to sex.
Thanks, Steve.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Nick.
The second thing on this list, and I think the solution of this we've talked about before, vaginal dryness.
Oh.
The drop in estrogen levels that occurs with menopause can cause vaginal dryness, which in turn can impact sexual function. It's estimated that about half of postmenopausal women deal with this condition. Spending more time on foreplay can be helpful. Being more aroused can increase your vaginal lubrication, making sex feel more pleasurable. If vaginal penetration is too painful, other activities such as oral sex or using toys might feel more enjoyable.
There's medication for this that I see advertised on the television. There's a good portion of women who go through it, but I didn't realize until I got older that sex can become painful for a woman, right? Just because of this. Now there is a medication that you can take that seems to help with that problem. I don't know.
But But wouldn't you just have to go and investigate, your choice in personal lubricants?
Exactly.
For
Not
sure.
just-
Yeah. No, I mean, I am a big proponent of lube, even when things are great,
Yes.
working great.
I think lube is a phenomenal thing. It should be used always, almost. I mean, even if a woman starts off aroused and has enough lubrication naturally, depending on how long you're going, that can dry out. It doesn't mean she's not into
Sure.
it or wants you to stop or anything, but I think having lube around is a great thing. Now, I
Here's
will
the
say-
thing that I would think changes from younger to older is that when I remember as a young man, I would get lubes that were like, breathe on me and it'll get hot. And now as I'm an old man, I don't want it to do anything. I want to have just a clean palate here. I would like to do my stuff here. I don't want to make it hot. I don't want to make it cold.
Just a slip and slide. You don't need the
Yes.
flames thrown in or anything else, right? Yeah, that heating lube stuff, I don't like the way that works or feels. And I have sensitive skin, so maybe that's it. But no, I'm a big advocate of lube. It's become almost a psychological thing for me. My ex-wife had this issue always, so we always used it, and it just became connected to me. And I'll tell you, one of the reasons I can keep going for as long as I can now in my older age, lube has some sort of psychological effect. Like if I'm going and I start to lose, a full erection to keep things FCC friendly here, throw a little lube on and there's just some mental connection where I perk right back into action. It's like liquid Viagra for me.
It's Pavlov's law, dude.
It is.
I mean,
It's a
you heard the bell,
Pavlovian
right?
response.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, I think lube is a great thing and it's an easy solution to this vaginal dryness issue. So I don't know.
I'm inconsistent with lube in the way it makes me feel personally. Like sometimes lube makes me go way quicker, and sometimes it makes me go fast, longer. You know what I mean?
Last longer.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, you're decreasing friction. Sometimes friction is what leads to to the orgasm for men.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. I guess
yeah,
so.
I can see that, but yeah, that seems like an easy solution to me, and nothing anyone should be ashamed of or anything else.
Thanks,
Grease it
Steve.
all up. Slide in everywhere with that stuff. I mean, there's some other great activities too that lube is basically required for. Backdoor
Yeah.
are best, as they say. So
Yeah.
you should
It's
always
the
have
key.
lube.
It's the key.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then on the male side, the number 3 thing here is erection and ejaculation challenges. As men
Changes?
what?
Changes?
Challenges, ejaculation challenges.
Okay. All right.
As men age, things change in the erection department, and that's normal. Quote, they will not have the same kinds of spontaneous or reflexive erections the way they used to, says this therapist guy. And they'll find that they may need more and variety of stimulation in order to get or maintain an erection. In addition, they may also find that their erections are not as hard or robust as they used to be. Having erection trouble from time to time is not unusual, but if you're unable to develop or sustain an erection most times you try to have sex, you might be dealing with erectile dysfunction. We all know the solution to that, Viagra. Also, the volume of ejaculate and the force with which it's released may be significantly less as you get older. Does anyone care about that, though?
I don't know. I mean, what
yeah.
are they saying? I don't. You know what? Nothing could come out. I mean, if that's, I don't care about that as long as I still get the feeling of what's happening. And if you don't have stuff come out, is there no feeling of the orgasm?
Like if a tree falls in the forest and no one's around to hear it, did it make a sound?
Yes, dude.
The answer to that question, by the way, is yes. Sound waves are tangible, so they exist whether you hear them or not. And I would say an orgasm exists whether there's confetti or not.
Okay.
All
right.
And I've never had a woman be, I don't know, either impressed or disappointed if I'm not like spraying them or something. If it doesn't come out with force and momentum.
I will tell you that I have never understood that, but I do realize that there are people out there that talk about throwing ropes. Do you know what this is? I mean,
Throwing ropes.
Throwing
Is this like a pearl
ropes?
necklace? Is that?
yes, but I mean, like when you're throwing ropes, it's just, you have a lot, right?
It's like the silly string, the can. It's just
Yes,
whatever.
I
Woohoo.
suppose.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
So some people that's important to. Like, I think it makes them feel like more of a man.
I guess, but this again comes back to your own perception of sexuality.
Brewski, you got something to say about it?
Well, no, I mean, I can just say that, I mean, it when you do that, it for me at least, it feels a little bit like the intensity of it. The more intense that it comes out, the more it feels better to me.
Okay.
Well, what I was just saying is what this guy says. To combat this, he said the most important thing is to relieve performance and pressures by changing the objective of sex in the first place. In other words, get rid of this porn star fantasy that you have to shower the woman with your leavings. It's mature. This is all about maturing. So
sure.
The number 4 thing on this list is lower sexual desire as you get older. Stress, physical health problems, mental health issues, medication side effects, and declining hormone levels can contribute to decreased libido. Prevalent issues for those in their 50s include dealing with changes in their physical body and energy levels, which can lead to lower desire. The hormonal shifts not only affect physiology and sexual desire, but they can also impact mental health, including fatigue and changes in mood. She suggests getting a hormone panel to see how to balance your hormones and reduce unwanted symptoms. Most hormonal changes are very manageable with the right support, and it's perfectly normal. For some, hormone replacement therapy might be appropriate. For others, more naturalistic things like yoga, meditation, and supplements can be helpful.
Well, along that line, so many years ago when I was with the Jen, we found out that my testosterone was kind of low. And so they gave me this gel to put on my body.
Yeah.
That has testosterone in it?
Yeah, exactly. And because Jen was certain that, because she wanted to have a kid, that if I did this, that this would help us perhaps have a kid and that sort of thing. Well, what she didn't understand and I didn't know, and we didn't make it clear to the urologist I was seeing, was that that sort of the stuff there actually decreases your potency.
Oh, really? I mean, I know there's a
Yes.
lot of this, hormone pills that I see advertised all over the place for men, and most of it seems completely misplaced as to whether you actually need it or not.
Yeah,
But I don't know. Yeah, go ahead.
The urologist said, well, if you're trying to have a kid, he said, then we should probably get you on something that treats the erectile stuff, as opposed to putting you on testosterone, because the testosterone, because it's not natural testosterone, it actually
lowers your count.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you should be addressing fertility, not the hormone.
But I obviously I didn't make that clear, and also Jen and I, we were being stupid and thinking that I had to go raise my testosterone and everything would be fine,
Yeah. Well, I don't know, gentlemen. And Brewski, you're 52, correct?
Yes, sir.
And Nick and I are 47. So do you feel your sex drive has decreased as you've gotten older? What's your personal take on it?
Well, see, I'm not sure if I'm the right person to ask about that. The reason why I say that is because I'm also on antidepressants, and that's
but so are a lot of older people. So I'm talking about you. So what, regardless of external factors?
No. So, but one of the side effects for my antidepressant is that it decreases your sex drive.
Okay. So and have you noticed that? I mean, I know in theory you can decrease it, but if do you think back 20s, 30s, 40s?
Oh yeah. Mine is decreased, but that's just because.
Is it dating fatigue, or is it
that's pretty much what it is?
Does your internal sex drive, does that still feel like it did in your 20s or 30s? Like, forget about the fact that women have irritated you. You're a busy guy. Any of that stuff.
I'm still taking care of business on my own very regularly.
Right.
So,
and I think that would be a true indication. If you're not, roughing up the suspect but once every few months, then that would be a very tangible decrease from all of us in our earlier years.
Very, very good point. But no, I'm still taking care of business as often as I possibly can.
Yeah. And you haven't given up on women by any means. You're still on the dating apps. You're out the time.
Exactly. Yeah, okay. So I guess, I mean, it might have decreased a little bit because back in my 20s, dude, I mean, I was awful. I mean, I'll tell you, I mean, I can recount at least 3 different times where I pulled double duty in one night.
Yeah, you mentioned that before, and that is a good indicator. So you were with 2 different women in one night, and you don't think you can pull that trick off nowadays?
No.
Interesting. And is that from the physical side or the mental side that you don't think you could?
I think both, actually.
Okay.
I think both. I think, once I've done everything there, I'm ready to just go and do everything else for the rest of the night. Go hang out, go watch a game, go have dinner, all that sort of thing. Whereas when I was younger, it was like, go. And
you were a sex addict.
No, nothing like that. I thought
How
I was
dare you label him that way? He's
it was said inquisitively. You were a sex addict, yeah?
I didn't pick up on the question mark.
I mean, and tell me if you weren't, but a lot of this sounds like you maybe had some addictions.
Brewski, were you a sex addict? Well, yes, Dr. Phil, I was.
To Dr. Phil all of a sudden.
Listen, I'm curious. I'm curious. I'm not judging. I'm curious.
No. I mean, I suppose these days, if you look back at some of the behavior, you might call it that.
All right. Again, not judging. I'm asking.
No, I know that.
Let me ask you from the clinical standpoint, because there's a definition of addiction. Was it interfering with the rest of your life? Could you not hold down a job because you were out trying to get laid so much?
No.
Were you not able to pay the rent on time, the bills? Were you excluding friends from your life?
Steve Harness.
Then you're just good red-blooded American, right?
Yeah, that's what I always thought.
Right. Listen, you know what this makes me think of, Brewski, and I'm being inquisitive here. A lot of the time they will say the more stuff that you do with your sex life, that you have to eventually keep ramping up to different things to try to get off.
Oh, I get it. Yes, so in other words, you get bored and like what used to be good for you. No, nothing like that. I mean, I was doing a little bit of everything. The vanilla stuff. Yeah. And then very much more adventurous stuff. Some things that I found I didn't like.
This all sounds very actually healthy to me. I mean, so yeah.
Okay, Nick. So what about you? How was your sex drive as you're basically 50 now?
Basically. Well, I do have I mean, I can relate with Brewski as far as the medication goes. I'm on a medication that is major side effect of it. I can
erectile or sex drive? Which
sex drive?
Okay.
I can definitely tell a difference when I'm on it, that it makes me less interested in kicking the idea off in my head. If it's presented to me, I don't have an issue with it. So it would be more of an issue on me initiating, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah. Okay. What's the internal clock? Do you still have the same desire for it? Even if, part of you is like, I don't need it today. That's fine. But is it still a top of the mind thing for you?
It's not top of my mind unless it's presented to me. I need to be reminded of it because I need to get worked up or have the thought of it to me. If I don't, how often does it pop into my mind?
Yeah. How long can you go before you start to think, hey, wait a minute, I haven't had sex in a while?
Sometimes if it's not presented to me, I could go once every 2 weeks.
Presented to you. I would love to see how Rachel presents it to you.
No, I just mean the idea of it. Like, hey, you want to fool around, I mean, it could be that simple.
Okay. So what'd you say every 2 weeks?
Once every 2 weeks. If I'm not presented with it, if it's my idea alone, that's probably where I'm at. I mean, which is way lower than it ever was before.
I was going to say, back in your 20s, how long would you go without sex before you'd start to wonder?
A couple times, maybe 2 times a week. I've always been good with that. That's been enough for me. I don't need to do it more than that. But
that's a little decrease, but that's not dramatic by any means.
Yeah, no, but it's definitely, I mean, that was until I started taking this medication. That's exactly, I was happy with twice a week. And as soon as I got on this medication, like I said, it's not that I'm not interested in my wife or just in orgasming as a whole. It's just that, I don't know, whatever these drugs do, you don't think about it that often like you used to.
Sounds like a terrible drug. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's the one I have to be on. So,
Yeah.
and I've never thought about it. Hasn't become the problem where, as in, I need to go get put on testosterone or something for it. But I've never actually really thought about being treated for it.
Yeah. Well, if it's not a problem, it's not a problem. You know what I mean? Like if you and Rachel are in a good flow of things, then it's not an issue. I guess
Right.
it becomes an issue when you are going too long, or it is causing you a
Sure.
trepidation or angst or whatever. So
Yeah.
that's interesting.
And that's an interesting thing too. As you get older, that you hope you end up with somebody who, has the same drive as you or close to the same drive, because there's nothing worse than being in a marriage where yours is high, theirs is low, or
Sure.
Yes, I can speak to that.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that does happen as you get old. It doesn't happen as you get older, but as you get older, like that's important to keep that in your relationship. I would think that, like, hey, let's kind of let's cycle up here.
I think it's
what I mean?
hugely important. And I had convinced myself years back that it was not, that my desires were, unreasonable or something, because my wife and I had completely different sex drives.
You were made to feel like a pervert.
Yes. Like
Yeah.
I wanted it too much and that was unreasonable, or it was some sort of perv that I wanted to have sex several times a week. I wasn't even talking about like several times a day or even 7 days a week.
What is reasonable to you?
Reasonable versus what I want are two different numbers.
Sure.
I would say twice a week is a good, that's reasonable. That's a healthy sex life. I can even see once a week in some scenarios being healthy, but I'm more in the 4 to 5 times a week kind of range.
God, you have look at the drive on you.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
you have an immense thirst for sexual behavior.
yes, I'm a lover, Nick. I'm a lover.
I mean, wow. This is picked up for you?
Well, yes and no. I would say my internal clock has probably always been the same, but because of 17 years in a marriage where I was not having those needs met, there's definitely probably some pent up demand that I would say has probably increased my sex drive to some extent, which no one seems to be complaining in my life anymore. So that's been good. I have found partners in these last 3 years that I'm on the same level with. And that
you feel the partner you have is same wants it the same.
My current partner, we're talking about Dottie.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I'm having a small concern, I will say. We're definitely on the same level, but I will tell you, for example, and I'm wondering if I have to broach this conversation with her, although she's going to be listening to this, so I guess I'm doing it right now.
You're doing it anyway.
Right.
Steve Harness.
We just spent 3 days together, and that's the first time we've ever been able to spend, several days in a row together, because our kids' schedules weren't matching up, and now they are.
Yeah.
So we spent 3 days together and had sex 8 times in those 3 days. So that means if you do the math, that's at least twice a day, but one of the days had to be 3. And I enjoyed it. I hung with it, but I'm starting to wonder if I have to mention, like, if we ever live together, like, we can't be doing it 2 and 3 times a day, 7 days a week. Like, I'm not capable of that level. I never was.
Yeah.
Definitely not as I do get a little older.
But even as far as being capable, I mean, is it something you're desirous of? Like, do you want that if you were capable of it?
I mean, whatever I want, I'm capable of, like if I put my mind to something, then I'm going to achieve it. So if I wanted to be having sex 2 and 3 times a day, 7 days a week, could I do it? I guess, but I don't want it. So I'm not going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
But,
Okay.
If you're on an exotic trip for a week, sure. Like, take it up to the top level, or like Dottie and I, we only get to see each other every now and again. So
It's a
there's a lot of,
special occasion.
there's a lot of pent up demand. It's got to be different metrics if you're living with somebody versus dating and you're only seeing each other on certain.
And you know what? I bet when you have that conversation with her, she's gonna be like, "Oh, absolutely, I understand that."
Yeah, I would assume so. I don't
Yeah.
think because 2 and 3 times a day, 7 days a week, that probably is some level of sex addiction. Because that's
I would say so. Yeah.
Is this
and lube is definitely required for that. Let me tell you.
at this point,
Yeah.
at this point in time, is this mutual initiation, or is she initiating more than you to have it that many times?
I would say it's relatively mutual at this point. Like we're both initiating, I think relatively equally. And I'll tell you though too, and I don't know if this is new love or just a different type of love or whatever it is, but for example, last night was our last night together, and she was doing some work, I was doing some work. We got in bed together, and as I got into bed, I started thinking like, I don't really need to have sex. Like we've done it quite a bit over these last few days. I'm okay with just watching a show and going to bed.
Yeah.
And we get in bed together, and she touches my knee, and just like chemistry just kicks into gear. And I was like, "Yep, I want it." So like
You got horny, dude.
Yeah, we ended up having sort of a bit of a marathon session. And was it what I wanted 30 minutes prior? No, but then I get in the moment. I'm like, "Yep, I'm ready. I'm capable." So let's have it.
Yeah.
And I will say, I'm not capable of 2 to 3 orgasms a day. Last night's session, I never achieved that, and that is fine with me. I don't have to. I just enjoy the process, the act. I love it all. I like making her feel good. So if I'm able to, great. But I also don't give myself a guilt trip, because this goes back to maturing with your sexuality. That if I don't spray confetti everywhere, it's fine. I'm still having a good time.
There's a solid question to be asked here, because it's fine for you. Is it fine for her? I mean, some women can feel self-conscious if it doesn't happen, that they are somehow responsible for that.
Yeah, I would assume it is an issue, family, but I've addressed it. I did it prior, and I talked about it last night. That here's the thing: when I start going, when I first penetrate a woman, there's the immediate urge to come, and then if I can sort of get over that initial hill, then I can go for a while. But sometimes, I don't know, 8 or 9 times out of 10, I'm able to come fine. But there's 1 or 2 out of 10 where I've just pushed it too far back. And
if you pass that mark, there's no return, right?
And that's nothing negative. That's not a commentary on me and my age, or her and her desire.
The way the body works, dude.
Exactly.
And again, like I was just saying, like I'm still having fun. Like it's all good. So, I a woman I dated previously, the Valley Girl, had said like, well, if you're not going to achieve an orgasm, why are you doing this? And I'm just like, I'm sorry for the men you've apparently been with, because it shouldn't just be about me and just spraying confetti. It should be about the whole act. And I think that is something, as I've gotten older, I appreciate the act of it so much more. Just its whole process.
Everything.
Yeah,
I get it.
Foreplay, the act of,
sure.
Would you describe it as a cool process? Is that what you said?
It's an enjoyable process. It's cool. Like I just get into all of the intricacies of sex, foreplay, the whole action.
You're true.
And it doesn't all have to be marathon. Sometimes it can be short, but
yeah.
But yeah, 2 or 3 times a day, several days a week. You're going to hit a wall at some point.
Yeah, I'd say so.
As I've gotten older, I do appreciate something Brewski just mentioned. Like when we got through the marathon sex last night, after 3 days of just going back and forth and all that, there's a certain sense of relief of like, all right, I've done my job. I put in full effort. Now I feel like I can just smoke a bowl, watch show, go to bed, and not have any guilt or trepidations about did I do my job as the man or anything.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I never felt that in my 20s or 30s, but now it's like, yeah, mission accomplished. I can feel good about this.
Listen, I think, as you're talking about the whole process of it being cool, I think that's part of the process, dude. The after is part of the process.
Yeah.
Like the way you're sitting there feeling and you can relax a little bit. It's nice.
Totally agree. Yeah. But that came with maturity for me, at least. So I think, I think sex can and does often get better with age, and so many of these different levels as you become more comfortable. And we've read articles on the show before, both now and in the old days, of, STDs running rampant at retirement homes.
Yeah.
Because the smart ones still are in touch with all that stuff. So yeah, have at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I just saved an article about that very thing, about a particular retirement community that is experiencing that sort of problem.
Yeah. That I would love to have that problem. I don't actually want the STDs when I'm old, but I'm just saying I would love to still have that sex drive and be around like-minded people where it's possible.
Well,
at least.
I guarantee you wouldn't like this particular retirement community.
Yeah, what was running rampant at that one was a one.
Oh no, it's not that. This particular community outside of Miami is known for being a major haven for Trumpers.
Oh, well, yeah.
But like
that's not acceptable. That's a disease I don't ever want to get.
Yeah, like
too much of a turnoff, dude.
It's the villages outside of Miami there, and they're known for that. They go around in their golf carts. They have these Trump caravans and
nice.
the whole thing.
I will say hate sex is not something I've evolved into, but maybe as I get older, that would be where I'd be banging a Trumper. Just you stupid, dirty conservative.
Well, I've always said that there's a question on one of the dating apps that said, do you enjoy humiliation?
Yeah.
And I answered yes, because I've had dreams of, certain conservative commentators, like SC Cup or whoever, calling me names while things are happening between us.
Yes, nice.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll humiliate a conservative. I'll debate their politics while I'm banging them, and that should humiliate them thoroughly. So
that sounds awful to me.
In
all seriousness, it does. That's why I'm not into it. But that was really part of my dating profiles. Of if you're a Trumper, just keep on going. I don't even want to waste my time. I don't understand how anyone could do that. But maybe.
There are a lot of people in the nursing homes doing it up, and I don't know. I when we sit at almost 50, I now have friends that are almost 60, and I hear that sex continues if it's something that you keep in your life. It's like a goldfish. If you feed it, if you talk to it every once in a while, like it's gonna swim around. But if you don't, you're gonna lose it, dude. It's gonna die, right?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, I mean, again, I guess it comes down to the internal clock. If you're in a loveless marriage and you've convinced yourself that you don't need it, that's sad. I've now realized. But otherwise, yeah, you got to go with what feels right inside as far as frequency and all that.
Brewski, what is it called when a person can still love in a relationship but doesn't care about sex?
So,
Computing. Brewski is computing.
Boston Booyah!
Here's the answer.
You mean the old term would be like frigid or something like that?
No, there's come on.
Oh.
I don't know what you're looking for.
Are you talking about like the
what do I identify as if I can love but I don't want to have sex? Pansexual?
No, pansexual means that you'll have sex with anybody.
Okay, so there's a term for people who
there's gray sexual people who and then there's also Jesus.
Computing.
Yeah, exactly. I know, huh? Jeez.
Pull it
Now
together,
you put
Nick
him on
and
the
Steve.
spot. Right.
Yeah, I know, huh?
it's our fault, dude.
Giving him erectile dysfunction right now, putting him on the spot like this. So
Yeah.
Oh, it's asexual. That's what it is.
Asexual. Our computer may be on dial-up, but it always comes
there
around.
you go.
Yes, that they're asexual.
Yes.
What a terrible life. I'm sorry. Shoot me.
Well, yeah, some of them are just where they just say, I just want to have company. I just want to hang out. Well, isn't that being a friend?
Right. I would argue that comes from some sort of baggage in your past of I don't need sex, just let's hang out and be friends. Because yeah, you're right. It's just being friends.
There's
Yeah.
something that I feel that you personally, Steve, would be happy in a as you get older in a nudist colony. Does that? Why do you say that?
Because that's not about sex. When
Exactly.
people
Steve,
will go to.
Have you ever played volleyball naked? Have you?
No, I agree with what Brewski's saying. Most nudists are not doing it for a sexual thing. I don't want to play volleyball naked or any of that stuff. And quite frankly, I don't sleep naked for the same reason. Like I need my junk contained and safe. I don't need it flopping around. That sounds like a nightmare to play volleyball naked.
How about
Brewski,
sunburns?
Yeah, sunburns too.
I mean, Jesus, I think
Already
about
have
the
put
sun
enough
and I
on.
get, I think about the sun and I get a sunburn. I can't even imagine playing volleyball nude. I gotta like lube up my entire body with like sunscreen.
No.
Brewski, what's the name of the island where people fly to just have sex with each other?
So,
Computing. Brewski is computing.
Boston
Gilligan's
Booyah.
Here is the answer.
That would be Jeffrey Epstein's Lolita Island.
Yes. Correct answer. Yeah.
What?
I was looking for another answer, but you're right. I mean, that is it.
Fantasy Island? Are we going back to the 70s TV show? Or
What's the place where you go and they shoot porn and everything there? It's an island.
So there's a resort that's called
Yeah.
hedonism.
That's what I'm. Thank you, Brewski. This dial-up is killing me today. Hedonism may be a place for you to like, Steve.
It's swingers. It's swingers is what it is.
Ah.
Yeah. Although,
Well,
you know what though? There are cats, man, that walk around that place all wearing banana hammocks.
I bet. I'm not into, no, I need to find my person. I've always said, I don't want to bang a million people. I want to find one person and bang them a million times. So
Well, I mean,
I don't need to go to some adult resort and be skanky about it. But the idea of taking my person on a tropical vacation and just doing sex, drugs, rock and roll all week, like, yes.
You like that?
Freaking absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I got to experience that once in my adult life so far, and it was one of the best weeks of my life for just that reason. And the person I was with is not per se the reason. It's just the fact that I had a willing partner that I, obviously we were dating and love and all that stuff, but just to be able to go on a tropical vacation and just sex, drugs, rock and roll, like, yes, that's a phenomenal week. But I needed to be with someone I know.
So here's a question, and this is something that happened this past weekend, and it's about sex. It's happened in my car while I was driving Uber passengers.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. So these guys are having a conversation about women that they're dating and hooking up with and that sort of thing. And one of the guys was saying, well, I hook up with her and I like hanging out with her, but there's no way I could ever have her as the mother of my children because I couldn't do ABC with the mother of my children.
Sure.
Well, but if you can't do those things that you enjoy with the mother of your children, then you aren't going to have a great relationship. And I wanted to say that to these guys because they're all probably, I would say, between 23 and about 26, 27.
I was just going to say is an immature perspective on marriage and wives and all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. You being married, you understand that sort of thing.
Well, what do you want? Geek on the streets and a freak in the sheets? Is that what the term is?
I've never heard that one,
no,
but
it's
I like
actually
it.
lady in the streets, freak in the sheets.
All right. So yeah, that's what you want, and that's what you can have. I mean, that's out there, right?
Well, it's like that pop song nowadays we've been playing on our station. You can't make a wife out of a hoe. Can I make a hoe out of a wife? No, can't make a wife out of a hoe.
You can.
I don't agree with that at all. I think that's the ideal person to make a wife out of.
Well, yeah, exactly. And because if you ever lose your job, then you can put it to work.
Oh yeah, I like the way you're thinking.
Solid point.
I didn't mean a literal hoe.
I know. I'm sorry.
You have a solid point.
I saw the opening and I just decided to just go on.
Hey, that's my sexual philosophy right there. I see the opening. I'm just going to go for it. Brewski.
But you know what I'm. But you know Steve as and also Nick knows you're both married guys. Or you
I'm
were
not married, but
no, but you were at one time.
If Dottie's listening right now, she's freaking out. What do you mean he's married?
No. But you were. But you can't have both sides of that.
Sure.
I wasn't flawed in my thinking that these guys needed to mature and understand what relationships are all about.
No, you're correct. Yeah, those young dudes though, they got some maturing to do.
Yeah.
So yeah. We got about 12 minutes left, guys. So Brewski, I know you got an article related to all of this about self-love.
It's time for another Brewski. This one is a crazy Brewski.
Oh yeah. Give me some highlights of what this article is trying to make assertions on.
Well,
Don't tell me how to self-love.
It says abstaining from masturbation, and by the way, this comes from the Daily Mail in London.
Okay.
So we're talking European folks here.
Tea and crumpet.
There you go. Abstaining from masturbation raises risk of anxiety, depression, and erectile dysfunction.
Interesting.
That just makes good sense there.
It sounds correct in so many ways. We read an article on the show a couple episodes back about masturbation being a negative thing, that it drained your sex drive and all this stuff. And I wholeheartedly rejected that. So
that is the same doctor that came up with if you do it too much, you'll go blind. I mean, they both said that.
Yes. So, I would agree with that.
It says when people masturbate, it prompts the release of feel-good hormones like oxytocin and endorphins, which boost mood.
Yeah. Sure. No, I would totally agree with that. You need to stay, it's like training for the Olympic event. I made this analogy before that you got to do some practicing. You got to stay in shape. You can't just show up to the big game. You're going to pull the muscle. Yeah. So that totally makes sense. And the release of endorphins. And Nick, you had brought an article one time about how often are you supposed to have orgasms per month for good prostate health?
That's right. And it's up there, dude. I mean, you should really probably try and rough up the suspect every other day. You really should. He's been a bad boy and, you want to stay healthy. It's all good for you. This is like the equivalent of taking a walk if you're depressed, right? Like you get outside, things start flowing in your mind, in your brain. These chemicals are released. That's just good lovemaking, know?
Yes. I think the article you had read said you were supposed to have I think it was 28 orgasms a month.
29.
29 in order to have good prostate health. And again, if you've got a partner that you're doing a 29 out of 30 days of an average month, I mean, that's quite a bit. That's more than most people can do. So you've got to be able to mix self-love into there.
You have to, dude. And here's the other question to think about. When you're in a relationship and you have solo self-love, do you report it? I mean, are we reporting in? Just want to let you know, I spent a little time doing this today.
Like keeping a journal?
No, telling your partner.
You confess. There you say.
Oh, well, it's funny you asked that because I knew a guy in Seattle actually who had a girlfriend for a while who said that if he did that he was cheating on her.
Right. So here's the thing, and this came up on another episode as well, about women who try to control your masturbation. Yeah. And that is a gigantic red flag. I knew it before my last relationship, and it happened to me for the first time ever, where I had a woman that was looking at me, she didn't want me to, and she wanted to know if I did, and how was I doing, what were you watching? And I told you guys, I tolerated it because the Hindenburg and I had a healthy sex life, and it was she was offering, so I didn't feel but I snuck it in a few times, and I felt guilty about it, and I should not. It is it's preposterous. So no, that's a red flag if a woman is trying to control your masturbatory habits for sure. But there's a reality. Sometimes sex is a lot of effort. Sometimes just squeeze one out real quick and get to work already.
Yeah. Are you a person who is going to squeeze one out before the big game or after the big game?
So I will tell you, as I was out in the dating world here, if you're thinking you're going to have it with a woman for the first time and it's been a while since you've had it because you're dating and you're not getting it consistently, yes, I'll something about marry it for sure.
Exactly.
I'll do it several hours ahead of time so that I don't kill my momentum for that night.
Sure.
But yeah, I think it's a good idea. But now that I'm having a normal sex life, no, I will not, because I'm not worried about, going too quickly or anything else. And there is a limited tank. And as like I said, 2 or 3 times a day we're at right now. I need to keep as much in reserve as I can.
How about
thank you, Woogie?
What's that?
I said, thank you, Woogie.
Who's Woogie?
Oh, Tom Woganowski. That was from the Something About Mary. He's the one that told him that he had to, take care of that before he cleaned the pipes before he went on his big date.
I'm curious to know though, before say we had a big show. Are you superstitious enough to think that, if I do this before then I won't be on, so I'll do it after?
Yes.
You are? That's what I figured you were, dude.
Yeah, I've got a window before the show that I won't do it because we tested this theory years ago that men are kind of stupid after they orgasm for a good hour or two. Like your brain is just not functioning on the same level.
Right.
So yeah, I need to be. It's the same reason I don't smoke pot before the show. I got to be focused
You want to be sharp as a tack, dude.
Yes, because of what we're doing. I got to think on my toes, and I got drifting away. So yeah, that's me figuring out my body. And yes, we did that experiment on this talk show years and years ago. So yeah.
Yeah, and it held to be true, dude, if you remember correctly.
Yeah, I'll do sex and drugs immediately after the show, but I don't do them beforehand. So
interesting.
Yeah. And no one else has that conundrum or concern?
I don't. I continue to test, but I don't have that problem, like
you're just experimenting. I get it. Yeah.
Just making sure, dude.
You haven't figured out an answer yet, huh? You just got to keep running those results. You need a big pool to pull from.
Right,
you don't
I need a big test.
Yeah.
So here's a question. Do you gentlemen have anything that is unusual that turns you on?
I mean, in my mind, it's not unusual. So I don't know how to answer that question.
Do you have any porn categories that you would search for that you would think, oh, I hope no one would see that I like this? Same type of question, I suppose. But
okay. I mean, for me, that'd be Little People, but
And that is that a novelty for you, or it really turns you on?
No, it really turns me on. There was a female LP that lived across the street from me in Seattle that I would see at Fred Meyer every so often. I couldn't bring myself to walk over and talk to her, though. I just couldn't do it. But, oh, yeah, she did it for me.
Yeah.
I don't feel I do have a porn category. Well, okay, there's one, but I have to explain why I searched this category because it's going to immediately sound bad. It's the family category.
But they're step family, dude.
Exactly. And it's where you find good MILF porn because it's always the hot stepmom banging the younger guy. And in my mind, I'm still that younger guy. And I like to find porn that is, occasionally age specific for me. Yeah. So the family category does have a lot of hot MILF action going on. And they're always very clear in those videos that it's a stepson. Your father's not home, stepson. What would he think?
Yes. 100%.
So yeah, there's a few hot MILF porns out there that fall into the family category. And I feel ridiculous ever clicking on that tab, but I know that's where good MILF porn is at. So
well, the reason
there's nothing weird within that category. It's just doggy style anal, whatever it is,
Well, I was asking that because have you ever heard of people who are sexually attracted to objects?
No.
It's called objectum sexual.
I mean, a lot of men think women are objects. So if you're going with that category,
well, I have a story here of a woman from Germany who has a sexual relationship with airplanes.
I've seen some of these people have actually, I think they were on Dr. Phil or something like that. People that are sexually attracted and have relationships with inanimate objects.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a deviation in your brain somewhere.
It's called mental illness, I think, but
I mean, I could see like wanting to have sex on a plane that would turn you on. I have this fantasy about bending somebody over my dirt bike and doing but I don't want to have sex with my dirt bike. I don't want a woman involved in the process.
Well, she says that she's taken 30 mini vacations in the last year just so she can share the sky with these different planes, and that when they experience turbulence, that really kind of sets things off, if you will.
It's the shake, dude. I mean,
but here's the other thing. She spent over $4,300 on large model airplanes that she actually physically like cuddles and rubs against and uses it to pleasure herself.
Yeah, there's something out there for everyone, dude. Yeah. That's for sure.
Including a therapist, and that woman may want to call one. So.
I mean, the plane does kind of look like a penis if you think about it.
Sure. Is she self-loving on these airplanes? Is that what she's doing? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I will say I've developed somewhat of a interest, tolerance, occasional acceptance of pain, and that was never a thing for me. But it has to be pleasure and pain, not just pain. because I told you, like my ex before, like she would bite me during sex, and there was something cool about that, the pain along with the pleasure.
Yeah.
But then one time she just bit me, like she just walked in and bit my chest. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Get the hell off me! Like,
Yeah.
pleasure and pain. And that was never a thing. So that might be part of what we started this hour off of.
Even if it's you like it simultaneously, is that what you're saying?
Yes, it's got to be during a pleasurous act, whether it's oral or real sex or whatever it is. Like if you want to, put a little pain in there, then okay. But not just on its own, pleasure and pain.
Yeah. Well, that is your big picadillo.
I mean, it's nothing I ever like asked for or anything. It's just one of those, like you accidentally drink red wine for the first time. You're like, hey, now I like red wine. What do you know?
There you go. That's a good analogy.
Yeah, similar thing. So
yeah.
Otherwise, no, I can't think of anything weird, quote unquote, that turns me on. But it's a good question.
I mean, I've dated women that had really weird sort of. I mean, I dated a woman that had a thing for blade play, which was not my thing at all.
Yeah.
And
Again, get a therapist. Yeah.
It made me really nervous because she wanted
you
to
kill her by mistake. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Good. Yes.
But she thought I was being unreasonable for being nervous about that. I'm like, because you want me to hold a knife to your throat while you do certain things to me?
Yeah.
No.
Complicated.
That's a mental illness, dude.
Right.
I
never saw that card in the Valentine's Day section.
It's not in the Kama Sutra either.
Right. Let me count the ways I love you as I hold a knife to your throat while you go down on me.
Yes, exactly.
But hey, I'm also not here to judge. So
yeah.
Well, we are a little bit, or we wouldn't have a program, right?
Well, that's true, actually. So. All right. Speaking of the program, it's time to wrap this one up, which, because I've been snipped, as Brewski pointed out, I no longer have to wrap anything up except the show. So
we'll wrap it up today. You can see us on our webpage, thevocalminority.net. Find all our socials, communicate with the show there. And Africa, thank you for listening.
Yeah. What's up, New Zealand? Spread the word, all of you people. Okay.
Test 1 2, test 1 2.
Stop.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Vocal Minority with Nick and Steve.